Most people don't struggle to change because they lack the understanding. They struggle because something deeper hasn't been given permission to move. Today's conversation is about what has to shift before change is actually allowed to happen. I'm Justin Gates, and joining me today is Brent Michael Phillips, and you're listening to the new Ashla Podcast.
Excited to be here.
So, Brent, you're an engineer that was trained at MIT, and you found an interesting path to, more esoteric ideals around healing.
Yeah, it's one of those funny things where, had you told me 30 years ago what I'd be doing today, I would have laughed you out of the room. I always thought it was the stupidest thing I ever heard. You might as well have said I'd be elected president of Jupiter or something ridiculous like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because my background is pretty simple, science and engineering.
Right.
And, growing up, again, being a healer or spiritual teacher, not even on my radar.
Right.
Growing up, though, I have to say I was fascinated with magic.
Mm.
But it seemed in our culture, magic is things that happened in games or movies or books.
Right.
And if it happened for real, it was thousands of years ago and only to a small number of very special people.
Right.
So I grew up with Lord of the Rings and King Arthur and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, right? So my goal was I thought the closest thing to real life magic was going to be video games.
Yeah.
So that was my original thing. I really wanted to be a video game developer. And so it's kind of funny. I ended up in college at MIT. And at MIT, I discovered the internet, which sounds funny to everyone younger listening, but it really has not been around forever, right?
They were born with tablets in their hands, I think.
Yeah,
My kids were.
Exactly. And it was amazing, and that really got my mind going, and I saw potential to build a whole new kind of video game that had never been possible before on the internet. And today, they're well known. We call them MOGs or MMORPGs, games like World of Warcraft. But in the late 80s, early 90s, that was just a pipe dream. And that was kind of my vision, was I wanted to create this brand new kind of game. And again, not to be a healer or a spiritual teacher or anything like that, right? I wanted to make cool games and make money.
Yeah.
And so I went to MIT several times, got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and I was working on my PhD. That's when the internet boom hit. And I thought, wow, this is my gold rush, right?
Right.
So rather than continuing on in grad school, where I was making $900 a month was my stipend for being a research assistant. Good luck living on that even 30 years ago.
Right.
I left MIT to move to California. And I recruited my lifelong best friend as my business partner. And the first company we started was to build websites, which at the time, that made perfect sense, right? Right at the very beginning of the internet. And it's kind of crazy that the first website I ever built in my life was the website for the launch of the Sony PlayStation.
Cool.
In the summer of 1995. So that was my very first website. And that was cool. The website company was successful for the first couple of years. We did the website for Disneyland, Nissan Motors, several divisions of Sony. But that was kind of boring to me because, again, I didn't want to just build websites. I wanted to make video games.
Right.
So once the website company kind of got its feet under it, then I started putting more of my time into a second company we started to make online games. And my vision was simple. I wanted to make the first 3D graphical MMORPG. And we did it years ahead of the market. Because when our game Underlight first debuted, the first public release was January of 1997. And I don't think even EverQuest hadn't even been started then.
I don't think so.
Everyone thought it was impossible, but we did it.
Right.
And it ran on a Pentium processor with a 14.4 modem. So unfortunately, we were way ahead of the market. And there was a sort of a dirty little secret that I was the one there bootstrapping two fast-growing internet startups right at the heart of the internet boom. And so I had about 2-3 years of my life where literally all I did was work. It was nuts. It was no exaggeration. It really was 100-hour work weeks.
Right.
A lot of people say that, but they're not actually working 100 hours a week.
Yeah, they may feel like it is.
Yeah, it may feel like it, but no, this was every morning, all day, all night, 7 days a week, no vacations, no weekends, no holidays, just work. And I had figured at first, well, I was really wanted to be successful, and I was willing to do whatever it took. What I didn't see coming was my health.
Mm.
Long story short, I shattered my body in the process. I just overrode the pain, drank more coffee, pushed harder, worked longer. Because there was always a deadline. There was always that something had to be done today, tomorrow, whenever. So there was
Right.
no let up. And at first it started with a little bit of pain in my wrist or my neck. And again, at first I just, took some aspirin, pushed through the pain. I didn't worry about it too much. Then it started to get more serious. It got so bad that I wasn't able to practice martial arts some days. And some days I had to start cutting back on my work because it was just too painful to be on a keyboard. But I didn't panic because I figured up to that point in my life, if you're sick or you're in pain, you go to the doctor, they'll give you something, it gets taken care of, right?
Right.
That's what I expected. I'll go to the doctor, he'll give me something, maybe put me in splints for a couple of weeks or send me to physical therapy, and then I'll be fine. Well, nothing worked.
Mm.
I did all those things. I went to doctors. They put me in splints. They gave me anti-inflammatories. They put me in physical therapy. I didn't get better. I just kept getting worse.
Man.
And it was a slow progression. Basically, at the start of 1997, I was still working 100-hour work weeks. By
Yeah.
the end of
You got all
1997,
this stuff.
that had gone from 100 to 80 to 60 to 40 to about 20.
Mm.
And I was spending 15 hours a week in physical therapy. No joke.
Wow.
I was
And
going for
nothing,
3-hour sessions 5 days a week.
nothing was helping at
And
all
nothing was
that
helping.
time. Yeah.
And it was so frustrating. But then when the clock turned to 1998, I was really excited. Why? I finally got approved to see the head doctor at the Curlin Joe Clinic. And
Okay.
that's one of the biggest physical therapy clinics in the world,
Right.
right? They've innovated all these different surgeries and rehabs.
That's where all the pro athletes go
Yep.
and all the, yep,
That's where the
yep,
pro athletes go. That's where the Olympians
yep.
go. That's the best of the best.
Right.
And I really thought, I was so excited. I'm like, yeah, this guy's a superstar. He'll be able to help me, right?
Right.
And I was so looking forward to it. I'm like, finally, I'm going to be out of pain. I can go back to work. We're going
Mm.
to restart in the game, like all these things, right? And I'll never forget when I went in to see him. He's sitting there and, he's got these medical files in front of him. And he's looking at them and he looks at me and he just goes, well, I'm sorry, son, but there's nothing to be done here. No doctor
Mm.
can help you with the pain and you'll never be able to work. And I was honestly speechless. I was
Well, it's got to
expecting
be,
he'd have a
it's got to
plan,
be earth.
right?
It's got to be earth shattering. Like you
It
just,
was.
yeah, what can you do? Yeah. Yeah.
And I expected to have this long consultation and some program to rehab me. I was in there like 2 minutes. And then he led me to the door. And the last thing he said as I left, he said, son, do you got somewhere you can go where you can be taken care of for the rest of your life?
Jeez.
And I was still in my 20s.
That is not what you want to hear
Right.
even in your 50s or 60s.
Nope.
Jeez.
And so he sent me home to die when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I was recommended for permanent lifetime disability, which is actually very rare that young.
Right.
Typically, to get permanent disability in your 20s, you have to have brain damage or be paralyzed
Right.
or be missing limbs or, some horrific accident or something. He
Right.
put me in that category.
Jeez.
And I remember on the way out, his secretary said, oh, Mr. Phillips, just so we're clear, please don't ever come back here again. We can't be
Wow.
spending our limited resources on impossible cases. And I watched her. She erased me from all the appointment books, and that was it. It was basically, come back here, we'll have you arrested.
Jeez.
Really nasty.
You've been trespassed. Wow.
Yeah, so that was brutal. But it got even worse when I went to tell my business partner and best friend, because up to that point, he'd always been supportive. I
Right.
expected, hey, Brent, this sucks, but hang in there. We'll find another doctor, right? We'll get through it. It was just the opposite. He said, well, if there's no chance you're going to work like you used to, you have no place here.
Wow.
And that was brutal.
Jeez.
And he fired me from my position at the two companies that I had founded that had literally been built on my effort, my skill, right? My ability, and forged documents to support the whole thing. Then I learned a little while later he had defrauded me, that right after that happened, he sold the website company for millions of dollars behind my back and didn't tell me anything. And here's the really sick part of it. He had inherited 8 figures from his grandfather the prior year.
Wow.
It came from a very wealthy family. So he was set for life. The money meant almost nothing to him. And for me, it was my only chance at survival, but he stole that from me.
Right. And now
And
you're being told that you're going to live off of disability, which I don't know how anybody lives off that anyway.
yeah, and I found out also the reason he did it all, he had been secretly dating the woman that I was seeing and that I was in love with.
Boy, when it rains, it pours
Yeah,
meteorites upon
yeah.
you. Jeez.
So it was a classic dark night of the soul. And
Yes.
it
Yeah.
wasn't just pain, though that was part of it. It
Hmm.
wasn't just a multi-million dollar financial loss that could never be recovered. That was part of it.
Right.
I lost my entire career. My education became worthless overnight. So the amount of time I was at MIT for 6.5 years,
Hmm.
the amount of time I worked before I got thrown out of engineering was less than half that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a trauma, it was identity annihilation.
Yeah.
Not to mention I lost the woman I was in love with and my lifelong best friend. So that was really brutal. And
Jeez.
at first, I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was day drinking, I was using
Yeah.
drugs. I just didn't care anymore.
Right. I can't see anybody that would blame you for that.
I
That's
wanted
a
to die. I just wanted it to all be over.
yeah.
But I had a friend of mine turn me on to positive thinking.
Hmm.
And he said, hey, Brent, when life's got you down and you're not sure where to go, this is when you really need positive thinking. And I
Mm.
had never really gotten into that stuff. Seemed a little
Right.
woo-woo, little nutty to me.
All right.
But I was
Yeah.
desperate, so I'm like, all right, give it a shot, right? And
Yeah.
so I did all the typical positive thinking stuff. Now we
Hmm.
call it the law of attraction from The Secret, right?
Right.
Back in the 90s, we
Right.
called it positive thinking, and it's exactly the same stuff.
It is.
I
Yeah.
went to weekend seminars and I jumped around on the stage and shouted out how I was going to make all this money and, conquer life, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I put power words on all my walls.
Hmm.
And then I made a vision board.
Yeah.
And they told me if you say your mantra is exactly 108 times every day, they have to come true.
Yep. I've
So,
heard that.
and
Yeah.
doing that, looking myself in the mirror, you're a winner, all that stuff.
Right.
And giant surprise, it didn't help me at all.
Meanwhile, you're still in a lot of pain. You're still
Yes.
avoiding grief and
Yep.
trying to figure your life out. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I had moved in with my parents because I was in so much pain. A lot of days
Yeah.
I needed help just functioning.
Jeez.
I needed some days help getting dressed. Some days I needed help cutting my food.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I had very little keyboard time left in me.
Hmm.
And the pain just kept getting worse and worse. So I did the positive thinking thing for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Then I decided, you know what? This is ridiculous.
Did anybody tell you, hey, man, you just got to do it just one more month? Just keep,
Of course they
you
did.
know?
Of course they
Yeah.
did. But I'm glad I didn't.
Right.
Because
Right.
I could have done it for 100 years. All I
Right.
would have
Exactly.
gotten was a gigantic credit card debt, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It was fun for a while, but it wasn't changing anything.
Yeah.
So I gave up on that, went back to being depressed. Again, I was very lucky that I had another friend turn me on to alternative medicine. And
Hmm.
I remember she said, Brent, don't panic. The doctors don't know everything. There are
Yeah.
other treatments you can explore that might help you.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I first got into alternative medicine, I was pretty excited because
Right.
I recognized that conventional medicine and the drugs and surgery was not very effective for chronic conditions like I had, right? They're good for, I fell and broke my arm, I need it splinted. Okay, right? Oh, I've been shot. Okay, right?
Right.
They're not so good with, I'm overweight, I'm depressed, I'm sick, I have
Hmm.
low energy, like, chronic lifestyle stuff.
Right.
And so, long story short, I spent 5 years living with my parents, running up an astronomical credit card debt, doing alternative medicine.
Yeah.
And I did all sorts of stuff. And when I say I tried it, I don't mean I had one section of acupuncture and gave
Right.
up. I mean, I found the best Chinese doctor in town, and I saw
Right.
him 3 times a week for the next 4 years.
Hmm.
So I was hitting it hard, right? And I call this my professional patient period because it was busy like a full-time job running
Yeah.
around to do all this treatment, right?
Right.
And, what happened was I tried all this stuff, acupuncture, herbs, cleanses, homeopathy, diets, osteopathy, movement retraining. I did some hands-on healing like Reiki, things like that. I wore magnets when I worked and electric stands,
Right.
and I had vibration machines and all this stuff, right?
Right.
And it was this long period, 5 years worth of I find someone and they convinced me that they could help me. And I'd spend a bunch of time and a bunch of money. And then I'd get worse.
Hmm.
And then a year, 2 years, 3 years later, I'd give up on it.
Yeah.
And at one point I had to fill out a list of all the doctors I had seen. I saw 53 different doctors in 5 years. And that's
Jeez.
just doctors. That's not
Right.
including physical therapists, hypnotherapists, coaches, psychotherapists, etc., right?
Right.
That's
Right.
just medical doctors. So I
Mm.
had spent almost 6 figures seeing almost 100 different people over 5 years.
Right.
And I was getting to the point I couldn't borrow any more money, which made sense. I had no income, right?
Right.
But my disability payment was barely covering my minimum on my credit card.
Right.
And it was frightening. And that brought us to 2003. That's when, because I was kind of panicked, I had applied for an experimental surgery. And I remember the doctor interviewed me and they accepted me into the program. And I was skeptical. I was a little worried about having surgery, but I was so desperate. I was willing to take anything that might help, right?
Right. Well, how else are you supposed to feel?
Right.
I mean, everything you've been through. Yeah.
Right. I was in an impossible position in so many ways.
Yeah.
And of course, had the surgery cured me of all my pain and I had restarted my life, I wouldn't be here today.
You would not. Yeah. You wouldn't have created all this that you've created.
Nope.
Yeah.
Instead, it was a disaster. They botched the surgery, and when I woke up, my right arm was paralyzed at the elbow.
Oh my goodness. So now you're not feeling anything in it. It's,
Yep. Yeah. On the bright side, I had a little less pain because I couldn't feel my arm.
Right.
On the downside, I couldn't feel my arm. Right.
That's all that positive thinking you did.
Yeah, exactly. All that positive thinking. And let me tell you that was in a lot of ways rock bottom, because we don't realize how much we take for granted having two hands.
Yes. Yeah.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
And I'll challenge everyone listening. Go try to floss your teeth with one hand.
Right.
Let me know how that goes. Right.
Well, even when a lot of us like will pull a muscle in our shoulder or our bicep or something, it feels impossible to even do anything.
Yeah. And it was frozen for over 5 months. And of course, I tried all sorts of medical interventions. They put me in special splints when I slept, and they tried to sedate me and do a manipulation under anesthesia. And I mean, all these things, but nothing was working.
Wow.
And it was funny. Right about that time, one of my Aunt Lauren's friends, her name was Terry.
Mm-hmm.
She had been big in finance, but she was exposed to black mold. And it almost killed her.
Bad. Yeah.
And she found that this process of energy healing involving something with the subconscious literally saved her life. And I remember seeing her email. It was right about the time I had the surgery. She said, "Hey, everyone, it's Terry. I just want you to know I'm not working at ARCO anymore. I quit my job. I'm going to be a full-time energy healing practitioner.
Right.
Here's my number. Book a session." And I laughed. I'm like, how stupid is that, right?
Right. No, I get it, man. I get it.
I just figured this lady's really gone off the deep edge of the New Age pool, right?
Right.
Right. So I didn't think about it too much, but it was funny. But my Aunt Lauren was good friends with her. She kept calling me every month. She'd be like, "Brent, did you go see Terry?" I'm like, "No, Lauren, it won't help. I've tried everything. I've been to healers. It's nonsense. Whatever." Right.
Right.
Well, 5 months later, eventually she's like, "Okay, what's it going to take?" And I said, "Well, pay for the session and take me to dinner." And I wasn't expecting her to say yes, but she did.
Right.
She was like, "Okay, Brent, I will pay for the session and I'll take you to the dinner. Are you going to call Terry?" I'm like, "I'll call her tomorrow." And I did. And I booked a session. And really, just between you and me and the audience, I was there for the free dinner.
Of course. Nobody turned down
because I didn't think she could help me. No one could.
Right.
And I had done a little bit of energy healing before, Reiki healing, pranic healing, kind of hands-on stuff. To me, it just seemed like a waste of time.
Right.
And again, I felt that same way about acupuncture. I had hundreds of sessions of acupuncture.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to do anything. I don't think it should be illegal, just didn't help me, right?
Right.
But anyhow, we had the session, and I remember I met her at her apartment, and one of the crazy things was this is all done with the mind. I expected her to be tapping on my body or applying acupressure or giving me supplements to take or something like that, right?
Right.
If not putting an IV in my arm, right?
Right.
There was nothing like that. It's all done with just talking and done with the mind. And she asked me a lot of questions about my childhood and all the pain I'd been in and the huge loss of my career and my education and my friend and all the trauma I'd been through. And it was interesting. But the whole time I'm thinking, lady, why are we here talking about our feelings, right?
Right.
I'm here because I'm in pain and I can't move my arm.
Yeah, my parents were great. Don't pick on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything was fine, right? Everything wasn't fine. But that's what everyone thinks. I guess,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It took me years to realize that.
Right.
I thought I had a perfectly fine childhood. Wasn't until much later I realized, oh, crap. But at the time, it just seemed irrelevant. And I remember at the end of the session, she said something like, "Oh, we're going to see what we can do about your arm now." And I'm thinking, you and what army?
Right.
And I remember she kind of closed her eyes and her eyes went back into her head. and she's kind of sitting there in a trance. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember I was just looking out the window thinking, well, do I want to get something for lunch on the way home, right? I'm like, okay, we're done. Got my free dinner. I'm
Right.
out of here, right? And I remember about 30 seconds in, there was this loud crack I felt in my arm. And
Wow.
the way I would describe it is, we all know that you get little cracks and pops in your joints as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like times 20 or 30. It was like kaboom, and my whole body shook. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa. And she must have heard it because I remember she opened her eyes and she was all, let's try your arm. And I did, and I couldn't believe it at first. I could move my arm again. It
For
was just
five
like the
months and
surgery
just
had never
not
happened.
feeling anything. That is crazy.
And it was totally crazy.
Yeah.
And in that moment, my whole paradigm got upended.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I am glad that I did have my scientific background
Right.
because I didn't deny it. I
Yeah.
embraced it.
But I mean, here you are. You've everything that you knew and practiced and studied and trusted, and you've exhausted all these things, the logic, the data, the effort, and none of those produced this kind of result. And here's this woman that, you're here for a dinner. You're like, okay, whatever. I've been through this before.
Yeah.
And now you can move your arm.
Yep. And I was like, oh my God. And I remember I said something like, wow, I'm not sure just what just happened, but can you teach me?
Yeah.
And she said yes. And that was the moment this very skeptical, rational engineer scientist type
Yeah.
embraced a miracle.
I don't know if you watch a lot of movies, but the movie Doctor Strange, it sounds a lot like this.
I love Doctor Strange.
Are you familiar? Yeah.
Yep.
So you're watching that movie, you're like, oh my God, I know what happens next. I've been through this before.
Yep. But I want to be honest with everyone that what did happen that day with Terry was my arm had been frozen and immobile for 5 months.
Yeah.
From the surgery, right?
Right.
That instantly healed. Never
That's
gave me
crazy.
trouble again. What did not happen, it wasn't like my whole life was solved in an hour.
Right. Of course.
So in particular, all the chronic pain and physical issues I had that led me to the surgery, none of that healed in an hour.
Right.
But my elbow did. And
Right.
it took a lot more work and practice. I was able to make progress on the other things. But it was measured in months and years, not in days or hours.
Mm-hmm.
So with a lot more healing sessions and trainings and working on myself and working with partners and retreats and so on, I was able to make progress. And over the next couple of years, I was able to reduce my pain enough that I was able to come off disability and start a company and start a new career being a full-time professional energy healing practitioner just like Terry.
Yeah.
Which was so crazy because I thought she was nuts, right?
Right. Of course.
Then I tried it
Well,
for
of
myself.
course.
I'm like, oh gosh, move over. I'm in.
Right.
I want to do this too. And
But what's amazing to me is learning about your life and your background to me is that you didn't abandon one seemingly completely different thing for another. You found and built a bridge between the two, which of course is something that I always try to do in my life to everything, because there can be bridges to these things. And like I said, all that logic and all that training. I mean, you're an engineer, like you're used to dealing with codes and numbers and things that you can manipulate physically. Here's this person that did this, and there's no way to really see that. You had to experience it for it to make sense, right? So,
Yeah.
but
And,
tell us about.
it was important that I had that experience because I'm not sure I would have believed it otherwise, right?
All right. Well, how can you believe in anything at that point when everything was exhausted? Like you literally tried everything on the planet known to man. All the
Everything
best
I could
doctors.
find, I tried.
Right.
With the caveat, I don't know everybody. I didn't have infinite time
Of
and
course.
money.
Right.
So maybe not literally every single thing, but everything that I heard about, found out about,
Right.
read about, yes, I tried.
I mean, just about every modality of healing you seem to try to tap into.
Yep.
And
I tried.
they just
tried.
weren't-
At least all the ones that were around back then, I tried all of them.
Right.
But there was something about the way Terry worked with the subconscious that made a difference for me. And what I found was actually very interesting. I see being a healer is not that different than being a software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is I'm now working in a new medium.
Right.
Instead of electronic computers making video games and websites, now I see my medium as the human subconscious mind,
Mm-hmm.
which ultimately is just a pile of code.
Yeah.
It's software, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It was funny when I was in grad school in Boston at MIT. It's brutally hot and humid during the summer, right? New England, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, and
Right.
being a grad student, I was broke. None of us could afford air conditioning.
Of
Are
course.
you kidding me? Even if
Right.
you had an apartment with air conditioning, you couldn't afford to run it, right? You couldn't pay the
Of
bill.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
So we'd have maybe 3, 4, 5 nights each summer where it would just be brutally hot and humid, right? Where it's like, at 2 in the morning, it's 93 degrees and 98% humidity and impossible to sleep. So what happened
Mm-hmm.
is me and a lot of the grad students, we'd all take a sleeping bag and a pillow and sleep in the server room. Because,
It's nice and cool in
yes,
there.
the server room was air conditioned 24/7, right? The offices weren't. And it was clear MIT really loved their computers more than their grad students because the
Yeah, I
computers
can
were well
imagine.
taken care of. Grad students were not, right? But anyhow, I'm sitting there one night, just kind of going, relaxing in the cool, falling asleep. And it struck me that, wow, a human is very much like a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Only our body is the hardware, and the software is sort of a blend of the nervous system, the DNA, the subconscious. It's just code. And it's funny I had that insight, and then 10 years later, here I am learning to program people. And
Right.
that's how I see it. You got a body, that's your hardware, right?
Right.
The doctors are pretty good at fixing it. Not great, but they
Yeah.
can do a lot, right?
They can.
But
Yeah.
they don't know a damn thing about software.
No.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
And ask any computer tech, right? Go to Best Buy, talk to the Geek Squad. Ask
Right.
them, what's the more common problem with people's computers and phones? Is it hardware failures or software bugs?
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell you it's 100 to 1 software.
Yeah.
No, hardware failures do happen, but they're relatively rare. Software conflicts happen all the time, right?
Yeah.
Ever had your
Right.
phone stop working because you installed the wrong program? That's exactly what I'm
Yep.
talking about, right?
Right.
And that's what I found about humans, especially with chronic pain and things. There are some people with hardware issues, but 99% of it is software. And that was the thing about me. I did have one hardware issue was I blew up my knee multiple times playing sports in college. So I did have a few missing pieces, but only in my knee. The rest of my body was perfectly intact.
Right.
And it's crazy. The doctors wanted to cut out my scalene muscle. They wanted to cut out my first rib to make space in my neck. They wanted to do surgery on my wrist for carpal tunnel syndrome. Why? That's all they knew was replacing hardware.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't do those things because none of them would have solved my problem. My problem was all in the software. And so when my elbow was paralyzed, remember, Terry didn't touch me.
Right.
She didn't bend my arm. She didn't have a machine or a brace. Nothing like that. We just did healing talking across the couch. And at the end, she went into a trance and my arm went pop. Well, that sounds like a software upgrade, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't change anything about your hardware, no?
Exactly. I didn't take any supplements or medicines.
Right.
I think maybe she offered me a glass of water, just to be polite, though, right? Had nothing to do with the
Right.
healing.
Water's good for you.
Yeah,
Drink more
water's
water.
good for you. And, it's crazy. I've said if you want to be a fake healer, it's simple. Tell everyone they need to drink more water, eat less sugar, and maybe cleanse their liver.
We hear that a lot on the internet today,
Yeah,
don't we?
and you know why? About 99% of the people today will feel better if they do those 3 things.
Exactly.
Because so many of us are dehydrated, we eat too much sugar, and our liver's clogged up, right? So yeah, if you want to be a fake healer, there's your shortcut. But no, it was crazy. It was just a software upgrade. And all of a sudden, I could move my arm again. And the same thing with years more healing. At no point did anyone put their hands on me. It was just changing the code. And what I learned was that computer metaphor is pretty damn robust. It's a really good metaphor.
I like to use it too. I like to use that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've all used a computer. You have a bunch of programs stored on the hard drive, right?
Right.
If you click the icon, the program launches.
Right.
Right? But here's the thing, the way most of us live our lives, you may remember this, back in the 90s, this was a blonde joke that went around, one of those joke viruses, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know when a blonde has been using your computer?
How?
Because your monitor's covered with black marker and whiteout. So that's funny, right? Yeah. It's funny because we all know drawing on the monitor is not going to fix your computer.
It's true.
It
Yeah.
can't. All it can
It just
do is,
it just masks it for
right,
you. Yeah.
if you put a lot of work into it, you can make it look correct for a very short time.
Right.
But it's static, it's not dynamic, right?
Right.
And if you want to fake out your boss, you're continuously going to be painting on your monitor for the rest of your life.
Right.
You won't accomplish anything, right?
Right.
Well, I want to point out for all the listeners, it's not your fault, but that's how you got taught to live.
Yeah.
We're drawing on the monitor, wondering why your software isn't running. And after all, I'll pick on doctors for a second. And just to be clear, I'm not opposed to doctors.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things they're very good at, life-saving even.
Yes.
They should just stay away from the things they're bad at. That's all, right?
Right.
Right? If your tool
Right.
doesn't solve the problem, stay away.
Yeah.
But with doctors, a lot of modern medicine is they run a bunch of labs to get a bunch of numbers, right?
Right.
Then they give you a bunch of drugs to push the numbers around.
Yep.
That's a lot of it, isn't it?
Yeah. I just went through that not too long ago.
Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Here's the thing. The doctors, and especially the pharmaceutical companies, they don't want you to be cured or fixed or healthy.
There's no money in that.
There's no money in that. They want you to take their drugs every day for the rest of your life. That's drawing on the monitor.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
And just so you know, it's not limited to health. That's how most people approach money, too.
Yeah.
Most people, the way you're trying to make money is about as likely to be successful as drawing on the monitor is.
Right.
Which means almost never. And what I found was simple. Money is almost never about money. Money is about confidence, self-esteem, trauma, mindset, all these things, right?
Right.
To a
Well,
lesser extent, genetics, epigenetics, nutrition too.
We don't get what we want, though. We get what we resonate with.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say this is just my personal experience.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to become a billionaire by cutting back on Starbucks and avocado toast, you know, I think you're going to fail. Why? It's not about money.
You definitely can't live long enough to save that kind of money. That's
exactly.
True.
It would be like if I'm trying, you know, I have a gaming PC because I love video games, still do, right?
Right. Yep.
If I wanted to play solitaire and I couldn't find it, do I have to go buy a new computer? No.
No, I wouldn't.
Gaming
But
PC is like
do.
$5,000.
Right.
I don't want to spend that money for nothing, right?
Right.
I just need to download the software. And a lot of life, especially money and health, is like that. If you have the right code, you can run the program.
Right.
And it's so crazy that we actually have a program inside of us that runs every aspect of our lives. We have a program in the subconscious that determines your level of physical health, your level of pain or not, your emotional health too. You have a program, and this is important, that determines how much money you make. This is established fact. You have a program that determines your mood, your social life, how much free time you have, your sense of purpose, your identity, all these things. They are literally coded into you. And it's the software is where most of the problems are. And what I do with people is simple. I have a variety of different tools. So, of course, first I learned everything I could from Terry.
Right.
Then I branched out to other masters because I didn't want to be that person that only knew one way of doing things.
Right.
Right? It'd be like a coder that's been doing a software engineer for 30 years but only knows one programming language. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're not serious, right?
Right.
Right. No serious coder only knows one language. Right? Most of us have like 3, 4, 5 that are our favorites, right?
Right.
And a handful of others. And I'm the same way with martial arts. I've got 3 kind of primary martial arts I've done for years, and I've dabbled in a dozen others, right? But yeah, so I want people to know, if your life isn't working, positive thinking alone probably won't do the trick. I mean, it might, but did you know that there's been a measurement in laboratory research on the law of attraction? You know what they found the success rate was?
What is it?
Less than 1%.
I was going to say it's probably low. I didn't think it was that low.
Less than 1%.
Yeah.
So that's what I call the first generation of self-improvement technology. That's kind of like Think and Grow Rich, right?
Right.
Which, by the way, was published, what, like 110 years ago or something?
And people still swear to death by it.
And again, I'm not saying it's a bad book. It's a great book.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just old technology.
It's a good mindset starter. Yeah.
For sure. It was well written.
Yeah.
And I see why people still use it today. But let me ask you this. Are you driving around in a car made over 100 years ago?
I wouldn't be.
Why
No.
not?
They don't work as well.
Yeah,
They don't
it's
work
that
good at all.
simple. One, you had to hand crank it. There's like a 50% chance you break your arm or your nose every time you start your car. That's historical fact, right? Look it up.
Right.
Right? They weren't covered. They were open to the elements. They could only go, 12 miles an hour or something?
Yeah,
that was
maybe.
your top speed, right? Manual steering, manual brakes, no radio, no seat belts, no safety equipment, no headlights. I wouldn't want to drive that.
Well,
But here's the
either,
crazy thing. When it comes to especially religion, self-improvement, philosophy, our world seems to think older is always better.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm glad you said it. Yeah, no, it is. It is absolutely insane to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say probably you, me, and most of the listeners, you wouldn't be caught dead using a cell phone from 20 years ago, right?
I don't even think they would turn on at this point.
Might not even turn on. 20 years ago, I had a little silver flip phone. We all did, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's just how it was. But no one uses those today. Why? You can buy a new phone that costs less, that's faster, more powerful, more capable, easier to use, all these things, right? Better camera, better speakers. So it's funny that we seem to think, well, the old must be better because it's old. It's like, well, it's tried and true, that's for sure, right?
Right.
So Think and Grow Rich is great in the same way that a Ford Model T is great.
Right.
At its time, it was amazing.
Yes.
Today, it sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And to me, what my experience with Terry I thought was so interesting. That was what dragged me into what I call the second generation technologies. And here's the difference. With the old school law of attraction, like The Secret, you're only working with the conscious mind.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons, not the only one of the reasons it has a 99% failure rate.
Right.
In other words, if you got one powerful subconscious block from your ancestor 5 generations ago, all those affirmations are just wasting your breath.
Yeah.
You cannot overpower it, period. It'd be like you against a million people on a tug of war. Who's going to win? Even a million babies.
It's like trying to heal. It's like trying to heal a broken leg with cold medicine.
Exactly.
It's just not going to work.
Yeah, you can try, right?
Yeah.
Go drink all the NyQuil you want. Your broken leg won't heal, right? Well, it won't make it go any faster. But the second generation engages the subconscious, and that's a game changer.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different modalities out there that I would call second generation, most of the more popular ones today. So, for example, EFT, emotion code, healing codes, Psych-K, matrix energetics, theta healing. I mean, we go on and on. They all work on the same principle that there's a subconscious mind, and we identify bugs and traumas in the subconscious.
Right.
Usually using muscle testing is the most common tool. And then they have some kind of process to make a shift. Sometimes it's a mental energy transfer, like I learned from Terry. Other times it's tapping on the body, like EFT. Other people have frequency machines, or they have you do a thymus tap, or breathe from your heart. There's a bunch of different ways.
Right.
But the goal is to change the code. And that's what happened with Terry.
Right.
And I like to explain what really happened, because I think our model of reality is the thing that holds us back.
Yeah.
That we all think we're so smart and we're so clever and we know how life works, right?
We really, really do.
Yeah, we're so full of crap. It's ridiculous. So I'd say a little humility will go a long way, right?
Yeah.
But this is what I learned. The old paradigm, which is wrong, is that your body has some kind of solidity and momentum. And that the reason I look the same now in 10 seconds from now is because my body is solid, and unless an outside force acts upon it, it's going to look the same, right? Well, that's not really how it's working. That's an illusion. It looks that way. The way our bodies and our bank accounts, all of life works, is more like your computer screen. That your computer screen, it can be on a screensaver, right?
Right.
And it looks like it's a static image. Is that because the image has momentum and solidity? No. Here's what's actually happening. When you're running a screensaver, the computer software is simply drawing the same image over and over and over very quickly.
Yeah.
Usually 60 times a second for most monitors.
Right.
That's fast enough it tricks the eye.
Yeah.
But we also know that if you go double click and launch a program, the whole screen can change in a moment, can't it?
Right.
Why is that? Well, again, the monitor is not solid. It doesn't have momentum like a material object. It's redrawn based on the code 60 times a second. So you click a new program, the whole thing can change in an instant, can't it?
Right.
So this is our gateway to understand miracles, that your physical body and your finances and your whole life is created out of nothing many, many times a second based on a code.
Mm-hmm.
That code is the subconscious. And I don't know what the exact number is. It's just a lot bigger than 50 or 60. My inner nerd says it's related to the Planck length.
Okay,
So we're looking at from quantum physics, something like 10 to the 17th times per second, your body's redrawn.
Right.
But it is recreated out of nothing based on an energetic template. That's the DNA, the subconscious, the nervous system. And science actually backs us up. Did you know that your physical body, your skin, almost all of your skin is replaced like something every 60 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
How crazy is that?
It is. It's mind-blowing.
So the physical atoms in your body, if you touch your face, those weren't part of your body 2 years ago.
Right.
Right?
That's crazy.
They were part of your food and the water and the air.
Right.
But there's an intelligent template, the code, that knows how to keep creating the body in a similar way. And so here's how miracles worked. When I went in to see Terry, she changed my code.
Yeah.
And when she did the healing, my body, the instructions had changed.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of recreating a paralyzed arm like it had been stuck in a loop,
Right.
she changed the code. And my arm was recreated out of nothing in the next instant without the hitch.
Yeah.
And really, that is, if you think about it that way, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Yep.
It makes me look at the Bible in a whole different way, too. It's interesting because, Jesus reportedly spoke things like she did into existence, and people were just totally healed.
And if you have the code for it, you can do that too.
Right.
And again, it says there right in the Bible. Jesus says point blank, these things and more you too shall do.
Right.
He never said, I'm the only one that can do this. He said, no, you can all do this. That was what he was trying to show us.
What's easier to say, your sins are forgiven, or get up and walk, Yeah. There was no Reiki, there was no touching, and well, he probably did, but it was just getting them to believe that it worked.
And so now I see it as simple. Jesus was an early software engineer. He knew how to look into people's code. And
it really changed the whole outlook of it. I'm trying to contemplate it in my head as we're talking.
It's interesting we mentioned the Bible. My experience with the Bible was this. It's not very useful before you're fully spiritually awake.
It gets much easier, you're right.
Once you have it, once you get it, then it becomes very valuable.
Right.
I'd say it's kind of like watching a karate video.
Yeah.
If you don't know karate, watching a video isn't going to help you. No, you're not going to get any better, right? But if you've been training for a couple years, you can watch the video and pick up little details and techniques, and you can actually get better by watching it because you have a foundation to work with.
Right.
That's how I kind of see it works. And
so let me ask you this: with that first session with Terry, you obviously, as you said, you weren't a believer. You were like, oh my God, let's just get this over with. So belief wasn't important at that moment, but she removed some kind of block from you.
Yep. And this is a great question. And people have asked me this a lot. They go, Brent, how in the world did you experience a miracle? You didn't believe in healing. You weren't expecting anything, right?
Right.
I'd say there's two answers. One is I knew enough about science and math to know that I couldn't rule it out.
Of course.
That essentially quantum physics is right there in uncertainty. Almost anything can happen just with very low probability. So that's the way I looked at healing. I felt it was kind of like buying a lottery ticket. But, and this is important, I was not 100% convinced it couldn't work.
Right.
I was only like 99% convinced it wouldn't work. Part of me said almost anything is possible, just unlikely.
Yes.
Because that's the lottery, right?
Right.
Do people win the lottery? Of course they do. You can go look it up.
Somebody does.
Yeah, someone does.
At least they say so.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go on the website. It has the names of the winners and all that, right?
Right.
But it's a very rare event. But that was key. I used to say before I found energy healing, I was an agnostic, not an atheist.
Yeah.
Why? No good scientist should be an atheist, in my opinion.
Some of the greatest, maybe all of the greatest ones weren't.
Yeah, and you make an important distinction. The people grinding away in laboratories, accomplishing very little, were not believers.
Right.
But you talk to Einstein, Newton, Tesla, Da Vinci, they all knew there was something out there, right?
It's impossible for there not to be. It's
So
just,
part of it was
yeah.
I was convinced it might work. I just didn't think it would, which
Right.
again is very different than I was convinced it wouldn't work. I actually
I
tell
think
my
that's probably all
clients
the trauma, right?
the only reason to not work with me is if you're 100% convinced this cannot work,
Yeah.
please don't waste my time or your money.
Right.
Go do something else, right?
Right.
But if there's a little crack there,
Mm-hmm.
that's all the divine needs to slip through. Just a little crack in the window, right?
Right.
But second thing is also really important. I wasn't expecting a big result. I had no attachment to it.
That's perfectly said. Yeah.
Yes,
That's,
and therefore I
yeah.
was not in resistance to not healing.
You're like, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
Not work.
Worst thing that happen, I waste an hour and a half of my time.
You got a free dinner, though.
Yeah,
So,
but I got a free dinner. So that's exactly. So I think people go, oh, I really believe. Will I experience a miracle? I go, I don't know.
Right.
At some point, the belief can actually turn negative because
Mm-hmm.
if you create a big attachment and expectation, then your resistance will drag you down, right?
Yes.
So in some ways, I was actually a good candidate for healing because I was skeptical, but open to the possibility. And I didn't have a lot of attachment or expectation. And
Two
boom.
of the biggest shadows we fight every day.
Yep. And it's funny that after the first miracle with my arm, the second session, I wanted Terry to make me rich. I thought this is a magic wand, right?
Right.
I thought I'd be a millionaire. The third session, I wanted her to get rid of all my pain forever. And then later on, I got so into the magical thinking at first, I really believed that even though I was 32 years old and had been on disability for like 6 years, maybe I can finally realize my dream of playing Major League Baseball. Here's a short version. No, that wasn't going to happen, right? But that's because the point of it is this. My first session, I had no attachment or expectation. I got a miracle. My second, third, fourth, fifth session, I came in with this huge weight of attachment.
Right.
Going, you got to do this. I have to have this. It has to be this way, right?
Right.
And God laughed. Said, oh, that's cute, Brent. And fortunately, I had a good teacher.
Right.
And I got over that. But I do want to say that this was a process that took work. That, yes, my paralyzed arm healed in one session. But that was just scratching the surface, right?
That was just the beginning, yeah.
All the chronic pain is what led me to the surgery. That did not heal instantly. It took me a couple years of regular work. But what I like to emphasize to all the listeners is I think a lot of people are asking the wrong question. A lot of people are asking me, hey, Brent, can I really get out of pain? Can I survive this disease? Can I get my dream job? Can I own a house? Can I be a millionaire? Can I have a family or find spiritual awakening or whatever the goal is? And everyone asks, what do I do? What do I do? How can I get there? I'm going to offer a different answer. I'm going to say all those things are achievable. Mm-hmm. The most important question is, are you going to give up before you get there?
Yeah, yeah. And are you resonating?
Yeah. And it's not about what you do, it's about who you need to be.
Yes.
And that's a subtle shift, right?
Right.
And I would say that, like with martial arts at my dojo, do you know what they say? What's the only difference between a white belt and a black belt?
I think black belt has failed more times than the white belt has even started, right?
But what they'll say is it's the number of classes you've taken.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So pretty much anybody can get a black belt if they want.
Right.
But you have to find a dojo and a teacher and a group of people you want to train with for the next 5 years, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if you show up and do the work, I guarantee you will get a black belt.
Yeah.
It might be 3 years, it might be 6 years, I don't know, right? Could be 10 years, but you will get there. But if you switch dojos every month, you will never get a black belt.
Right.
You can train for 100 years.
Yeah.
If you're constantly changing, new school, new teacher, oh, this one doesn't work. Oh, I'm not a black belt yet. Let's quit. Start again.
Right. Well, everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah. And if you bring the same you're going to get the same result.
Something you said reminded me of an axiom of light that I teach, and it goes, when delivered from adversity, there is the temptation to become overconfident.
Yes.
Be mindful. Overconfidence and arrogance are a path to darkness. And, I nobody on earth would blame you after that miracle to just, like you said, I want to be a quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because nothing's impossible now.
And what I had to learn was that there is a degree of difficulty.
Yeah.
We are closer to some things than others, right?
Yeah.
So if you called me and said, "Hey Brent, I'm allergic to cats," I'd say, "Great, that's easy." 10 minutes of healing later, 90% you're not allergic to cats anymore.
Right.
That's very easy for me. That's just changing the code, right?
Right.
If you say, "Hey Brent, I want to fly around the room like Gandalf the Wizard," I would say, well, buy a jetpack.
Yeah.
Not to say humans cannot levitate. It's
Right.
just most of us are not close to that, right?
Right.
One of the things they taught us at MIT, they said, you can't learn something until you already almost know it.
That's a very important
And it's really
distinction.
powerful, right?
Yeah.
So if you're very close to levitating around the room, yeah, I can work with you for 10 minutes, flip some switches, and off you go. But
Right.
most of us aren't that close, right?
What amazes me is that we know more about space than we do the oceans, but we know more about the oceans than we do the subconscious mind. It just blows my mind. It's literally more to us understanding the back of our minds is the most important life-changing thing for us to ever know, more so than space, no more so than the oceans. Yeah, those are important, but those aren't going to change my lives. I'm just part of that ecosystem. But I have to live with the thoughts that are repeating every single day, and other the old codes and all this stuff.
And you have to live with the body and the life they're manifesting for you.
Right.
That's why I see this as technology.
Yeah.
I don't see energy healing and law of attraction as woo-woo. That's one way to look at it. I see it as
Right.
consciousness technology.
Yes.
That the most powerful gift we humans have is our consciousness. It really is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
most of us
When
have
it's
no idea what it is or how it works or how to apply it.
right.
And what ends up happening is pretty simple. The power of your mind is working against you. It's that simple. That's why you're
Yeah.
struggling. My job is to help you recode yourself, to get the power of your mind working with you to achieve your goals instead of constantly sabotaging you and dragging you down.
Yep.
And it really is all determinism at the end of the day. Have you read
Right.
Sapolsky's Determined?
Hmm.
Fascinating book, right?
It is.
The subconscious mind is like a big computer with a database.
Yeah.
It has a bunch of knowledge, and it tries to predict the future based on the past. And its
Hmm.
job is simple. Nature programmed the subconscious to try to keep you safe and alive.
And alive by any and all means
Right.
necessary.
And here's
Yep.
another important thing. Nature doesn't care about the quality of your life.
Mm.
Not at all.
Just that you're still
Right.
alive.
So your
Yeah.
subconscious, maybe when you were young, you heard a story about one of your father's friends who got rich and turned into a jerk,
Right.
right?
That
You
yeah.
install a belief when you're 5 years old going, I
Right.
never want to be rich because I don't want to be a jerk.
Yeah.
And then your whole life you're struggling and failing. Why
Yeah.
is it that I've started 12 companies and they all failed?
Right.
It's like, dude, it's not that you're doing the wrong thing. It's you're being the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I keep launching my solitaire program expecting it to play chess.
Right.
Why is it not playing chess? Well, maybe you should install a program that plays chess, Brent, right?
Right.
And,
Right.
again, I want everyone listening to know it's not your fault. For
Right. Yeah.
some of you listening, this may be the first time in your life you've ever heard this. Maybe, right? That we've all been trained to live backwards and draw on the monitor.
Right.
What I want to say is no. Your life is like the computer. It's all in the code. And the wild thing is humans are still the only successful self-modifying program we know about in the universe.
Yeah.
And
So
so
far.
AI will get there at some point, but
Yeah.
we're still not there today. AI can write code, but it cannot rewrite its own code dynamically as it's running.
Right. Because it can't experience it. Right.
How does it do that?
Right.
The
Exactly.
way our computers work, classical computers. You have hardware,
Mhm.
it loads the program into software, the CPU executes it.
Right.
It's a bitch to try to create a program that can dynamically rewrite its own code as it's running.
Right. Because we're experiencing the result of AI, and they're still removed from that.
Yep. And the way
Until they
AI
build-
works is people spend years writing the code, then they turn it loose on the data. That's what you're interacting with, right?
Right. Right.
But humans using healing, going to the subconscious, we can rewrite our code dynamically in real time. No other creature that we're aware of can do that. But this is why I'm so excited to get this message out there. Most people have no
Yeah.
idea. This is like a unique ability you have within nature. Imagine like if humans could fly like a bird effortlessly, but no one showed you how to do it. You'd have the whole world walking around not realizing they could fly.
Right.
This is what I want to say. We all have a superpower.
Yep.
It's in your subconscious. It literally runs your life. So whatever your goal is, you just need to work the subconscious and take action, right? And then things show up. You want to make more money? Well, you better get into your subconscious. Drawing
Yeah.
on the monitor, skipping Starbucks, not going to do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, the esoteric masters, they had the right idea. We just didn't learn how to actually apply it.
Yeah,
properly.
and, in defense of the esoteric masters of the past, they didn't have computers and widespread literacy
Right.
to work with.
Right.
Let's remember, up until really the 20th century, most
Yeah.
people were illiterate.
That's true.
The vast majority of humans could not read or write.
Right.
Then the 20th century came, now we can all read and write. What a difference that makes to religion and philosophy and spirituality, right?
It does. That's why it's so much different now.
For most of
Just-
human history,
Yeah.
the only way you could get spiritual guidance was going to church, listening to a priest.
Right.
Why?
Who could read?
Right.
Yeah.
You could have a Bible, but you didn't know anyone that could read it.
Right.
Only the priest could read.
Right. It was a relic
Yeah.
basically for you. Yeah.
So then in the 21st century, now we have the internet and the information revolution.
Yeah.
It used to be knowledge was power because knowledge was so rare.
Right.
Now we're all on knowledge overload.
Yes.
It's like there's so many people and everyone's trying to sell you something, right?
Right.
Yeah. That all that spiritual knowledge and tradition is all out there.
Yeah. They
Almost
try
for
to sell it by
free.
the pound too. Literally by the pound.
Yeah, but the trouble is it's the signal to noise ratio.
Yes.
That, for example, social media.
Mm-hmm.
There is a horrific signal to noise ratio.
Yeah.
Why? There's an infinite amount of low quality free spiritual content on social media, isn't there?
Right.
And by
Right.
infinite, I mean literally you could spend the rest of your natural life watching it and not get through it all, right?
You get through maybe 1% of
Maybe.
it. If you live to be 150
Right.
years old, yeah.
But that's exactly why I go on shows like this.
Yeah.
That if you're just searching on the internet, you're going to see my link along 4,000 others. Who cares?
Right.
I want people to know, hey, this is different.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better, just different, right? That this
Well,
is
I think the
healing
results speak
intuition
for themselves.
as technology,
Yeah.
as a repeatable step-by-step process.
Well, we used the phones earlier as an example. If you can afford it, you buy the best phone that you can.
Most people do.
Yeah. We have all these different phones. There are 1,000 different phones, but really most of us stick to like top 3 or 4
Yep.
because those are the best of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Yep.
Right. So real quick, take somebody through. If you're listening right now, you're like, wow, I'd really love to connect with Brent and start to work with him. What does a typical, I guess, I don't know if you call them sessions. What is a tip?
Sure.
How does that typically go?
Typically, I talk to people before a session.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't used to, I do now. Simply because I want to make sure you're a good fit for me. It's that simple.
Right. That is.
I don't want to waste my time or your money if you're not going to get good results. I'll refer you somewhere else. So
Yeah.
if I think you're a good fit and we have a session, most people I start with what we call digging.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of the more foundational tools. It's much easier to understand and participate in. You don't need much training or practice. You can just jump in.
Right.
And that's basically rewriting your code one line at a time.
Mm.
That's what Terry did with me when my arm instantly healed. She
Yeah.
walked through my code, deleted some bugs, and then boom,
Mm-hmm.
do a healing and miracles happen. But,
Wow.
I want to be honest, of course a miracle doesn't happen every session, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Miracle rate is somewhere between 10 and 20%,
Which is still super
which is
high.
still pretty good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So not every session results in a miracle. But
Right.
you do enough work with me, at some point things will shift.
Right.
Where we go from there depends on where you're at and where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
People that need the higher level work, I will introduce that for you.
Right.
And we haven't talked about it much here, but there's layers past layers.
Yeah.
And really the higher level work, the way I would describe it is it works at a higher level of abstraction.
Mm-hmm.
That instead of programming one line at a time, you're programming entire routines or modules.
Yeah.
The best modern metaphor I can give is programming with AI. That in the old days, I learned how to program the old-fashioned way, one line at a time on your computer, right? It's the only option. With AI, you don't have to do that anymore. You can say, hey, AI, write me a routine that calculates Fibonacci numbers, and boom, it spits it out. You copy and paste. So it's a higher level, but the advanced work is more somatic. It's less about words and language, more about how you move and inhabit your body physically.
Right.
But it is phenomenally powerful. And so really the first session, I would start you with some digging and coaching, see some shifts, and get a better sense of you.
Right.
And then my goal would be, let's apply the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
Very simple. If there was one...
For screws, hammers for nails, right?
Yeah. If there was one tool that was the best at everything, I would have one tool.
Right.
That's not reality, right?
The sonic screwdriver.
Yeah.
Still don't have one of those.
There you go. But, when I started this 20-some years ago, I had one tool. And I just kind of applied it and desperately hoped it would work.
Right.
And that, honestly, that's where a lot of healers are. And that's okay. I started there too, right?
Right.
But 23 years and 24,000 sessions later, I got a lot of tools in my belt.
Well, I think it's really because the whole world of social media, YouTube, all this stuff, they really try to niche us down so badly that we get stuck in just one modality because, well, I have to niche down so that people will watch my content or whatever. And it really is not a great way to heal,
It's not, unless you get really lucky, right?
Yeah.
And get the right person with the right technique in the right place at the right time.
Well, you're certainly not going to have a 15 to 20% success rate.
No. But, that's why I'm here going, hey, there's other ways of approaching this.
Yeah.
And I would say any teacher or spiritual leader that says only listen to me and ignore everything else, run for the door.
Yeah.
Slam down the phone. Do not work with them. They are lying to you. They just want to take your money.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Real life is not that simple.
No.
There is no one teacher or process or system or technique that's going to be the best for everybody. And that is a lot of my goal is, I think of myself as kind of like a lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control the ship or the ocean.
Right.
But I can light the way.
Just show you where you should start.
Exactly. Show you where you want to go.
Yeah.
Make it a lot easier for you.
Right.
Can a ship find the port without a lighthouse? Maybe, but it's a dangerous gamble. I wouldn't want to make that gamble.
No, I'm not.
But with the lighthouse, you can see it. There's still a job to do, but it's much easier, much faster, much less struggle. And that's kind of where I see my role, that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of wrong turns. For everyone listening, if you want to insist on making your own pile of mistakes, go for it. But it's going to be a very long and painful process. If you want to shortcut that process, maybe you talk to someone that's been there ahead of you. Learn what they did, right? And then adapt it for you and your place. Because one of the mistakes I made is I tried to take other people's systems and techniques and just apply them wholesale to me.
Right.
It doesn't work.
No.
I mean, you see this in nutrition too.
Right.
I've seen a lot of my students, they find a diet that really works for them and they become an evangelist.
Yep.
And then everyone has to do zone, or everyone has to be vegan, or everyone has to do low carb, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
It's like, it's not that simple. There is no one diet that's perfect for everybody, right?
Right.
And if you found the one that works for you, good for you.
Yeah.
Just realize as you get older, that may change.
Yes.
It's not going to,
as I'm learning,
likely to stay the same.
Yeah.
You're not going to eat the same things at 75 that you did at 18.
Right.
Right? When I was in my 20s, I could go do a big workout and down an entire large pizza.
Yeah.
And I was fine, right?
Right.
Yeah, no problem. If I did that today, oh boy, let's just say it would be a very painful couple of days.
It would suck.
My body would not be happy with that.
All right.
Yeah. So, I'm here to find the right people that resonate with me and my style that are going to get results. And
I love that. That's so very honest, and it's refreshing because, as you said, if they're telling you their way is the only way, they're not being honest with you.
Yeah, and I can't say ahead of time exactly what processes or systems or techniques I would apply. I need to get to know you first. It's that simple.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
And that's why I want to talk to people, get a sense of them, and then we work together. Then I'll have a very clear opinion. Do this and do this and do this, right?
Right.
Maybe it's clearing some blocks. Maybe it's a trauma process. Maybe it's embodiment. Maybe it's studying awakening. Maybe we got to work on your attachment. Who knows, right?
Right.
But, my goal is figure out where you are, understand where you want to be, get you there.
Yeah.
That's
So,
simple.
so what's the best way for people to contact you and start that process?
Best way to reach me is if you just want to learn more, if you're just curious, go to my YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type in Brent Michael Phillips. Should come right up. That'll keep you busy for a while. If you're really hooked and serious about this, go to my website at awakeningdynamics.com, and you'll see a little more about my work and some of my programs. But the one thing I want to call out is I have a podcast special button there that you can click, and I'll ask only do it if you're serious.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to
Please.
spend time and money and effort to achieve your goal, I'll talk to you for free.
Okay.
And I want to get a sense of who you are, where you want to go. And I will, at the end, give you one of two things. If I think you're a good fit to work with me, I'll tell you exactly what program to start with.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the best fit, do this, right?
Right.
If you're not, I'm going to try to do my best to refer you to someone that is a good fit.
Right.
Because it's simple that I don't want people buying, a big program if it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
And we go from there. And I can work within almost any budget. We just got to remember there is a law of exchange, right?
Absolutely.
I encourage
Very
you,
important.
see how far you go trying to find a guitar teacher or a karate instructor that's going to teach you for free for years.
Well, I'm sorry to say they have to eat too.
Right. It's that simple. That's why I say I'm happy to talk to you if you're serious. If you're willing to spend time and money and focus to improve your health, make more money, find love, get a sense of purpose, accelerate your consciousness, whatever the goal is, then I'm happy to work with you. But we got to have something to work with, right? If you don't, go to my YouTube channel. There's like 212 videos there or something. Okay, I'll keep you busy for a while. And I think it's high quality stuff. I know there's a lot of slop.
I watched many of them. Yeah.
YouTube. There's a lot of slop on YouTube. I try to keep all the slop off my channel.
Yeah. No, your videos are good.
Thank you.
Of course, we've been working toward today, and I had plenty of time to look and stuff because I really appreciate what you said. There is a lot of slop out there, as you put it. And if someone approaches me and says, hey, I'd love to be on the show, I don't put them through the ringer, but I really do want to make sure that they have something honest to offer and something powerful to offer, because there are so many that for every Deepak Chopra out there, there's another 100,000 clones of Deepak Chopra out there, gurus and whatever, and your stuff is really good. It's really, really good. And in fact, I'm going to start doing better about sharing people's work on the pages that we run and operate, because, I always tell everybody, listen, don't take my word for it. This is like episode almost 100 now. Don't ever take anything I say for granted. Check me. You know what I mean? Go out there and don't take my word for anything.
That's exactly what I tell my students. I tell them right in my programs, don't believe anything here just because I said it.
Exactly.
Take it as a possibility.
Right.
Then go investigate, do your homework, see for yourself if it's true.
Right. And of course, all your links will be in the show notes for this episode. Awesome. We're at about an hour and 15 minutes. And I know you had to go at soon. So this will be your chance to leave the audience with something to remember. And I'll let you have the final word.
I think one important takeaway is this, that just because you aren't sure how to do something doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means that in this moment, you don't know how to do it.
Right.
And so, when I had my health crisis in the 90s, I spent years trying things.
Right.
And I was ready to give up. It would have been so easy for me to not call Terry.
Yeah.
And part of that was desperation, for sure.
Right.
And, because here's the thing, you never know when you're one step away from a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Because if we knew, we'd all get the breakthrough, right?
Right.
But I found that's usually when we bail out.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happened when I was dating. I decided to give up on online dating for 6 months because I was doing a special spiritual program, right?
Right.
And I was just sending out emails just so I'd get free time added to my account. And that's how I met my wife.
Wow.
I wasn't even trying, right? Because again,
Right.
no attachment, no expectation.
Right.
So I would say to everyone, don't give up. Keep looking. But at some point, you're going to have to pick a person, a program to go deep. No one fixed their life by surfing TikTok.
That's true.
There's nothing wrong with getting a sense of what's out there. That's great. Social media is good for that. But don't stay stuck in the high-level skim mode, right? It'd be like if you visited 100 dojos, how good are you going to be at karate?
Right.
You're not going to know anything.
You're gonna, yeah,
Visit 10 dojos, pick your favorite, then train there.
you're gonna have a lot of insight, just not any integration at
Right.
all.
You'll have no embodiment. You go to a tournament,
Right.
you're going to get your butt walloped. Right?
And I've seen it happen.
So yeah, use social media, use podcasts, get a sense of what's out there. But find the one you think is right for you and go deep. That's the only way you move forward, right? Nobody does this on their own. I tried to, I couldn't. As much as I hate to say it, I needed other people to work with me. And AI is great, but it's still not a replacement for a trained human.
That's 100% true.
AI can do a lot for sure. I'm a big fan of AI. But it's got to be in conjunction, right?
Right.
And if you think you're that person, let's talk. That's why I'm here. I want to find the right people for my community. Because ultimately, it's the people you work with that make the biggest difference.
There's so much synchronicity in our conversation today. Things that just seem to line up at the perfect time. Not Brent's perfect time, but the time it needed to happen. We're going to have to bring you back someday and talk about synchronicity, because it's just so
fascinating
powerful.
Topic. Yes.
So powerful how it just comes through in your story. And it does in everybody's story, but we're so distracted. We don't see it. But such a great conversation with you today, Brent. I really, really appreciate it. It's been an honor for us to have you on, really, truly.
It's been great to be here. This is awesome.
And, thank you for helping so many people out there get past this stuff, because, they may not have had a paralyzed arm, but many, many of us out here are paralyzed in some way or the other. We just, we can't find a way forward, and your work helps us do that. So thank you so much for joining us. Michael is going to hate that he missed this show today, because he would have loved this. But get well, Michael. Yeah, all the links and all the stuff to your work, to Brent's work, will be always in the show notes. Thank you guys for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And then until next time, with love and gratitude, ad lucem.